lecture number 7. In the last class, we learnt about few fundamentals of measurement theory. In the last class, we learnt about three different scales: nominal scale, ordinal scale, and interval and ratio scales. In the last class, we ended up with this interval and ratio scales. What it tells, in the earlier cases like nominal and ordinal, we were not very much particular about some exact numerics which they are going to define the exact scale at which they are, means what is the exact level of the quality depending upon few parameters. So in this interval and ratio scale, we saw that suppose there are three different softwares, we have got exact one parameter that comes in some numeric value, defect rate. The defect rate of A is 5, the defect rate of B is 3.5, defect rate of C is 2, isn't it? Depending upon this, we can compare the different softwares, we can compare their quality. So this was what we have studied in the last class. Today we will see when we talk about the exact rate, means exact some figure, something like 3.552, then how it came because of some other aspects that are related with the measurement issue. Today we will see all these aspects. So today we will see what is ratio, what is proportion, what is percentage, what is rate, and what are the concept of Six Sigma. So what is a ratio? See, regardless the measurement scale, when the data are gathered to need to analyze them to extract meaningful information, we have so many things, isn't it? Various measurement statics are available. So we want to process this data, this raw data, to get some meaningful information. So we all know that is a very basic term in the mathematics, that is a ratio. A ratio results from dividing one quantity by another. The numerator and denominator are from two distinct populations and are mutually exclusive. For example, in demography, one example they have taken, sex ratio is defined as number of males divided by number of females into 100 percentage. We will see in the later slides about the percentage. So what is the ratio? In the ratio, we are having numerator and we are dividing the numerator by denominator. These two of two distinct parameters, finally, and we are taking its percentage. If the ratio is less than 100, there are more females than the males, obviously, isn't it? Otherwise there are more males than the females. So here, if the ratio is less than 100, there are more females, obviously when this number is more, isn't it? So obviously there are more females. Ratios are used in software metrics. The most often used perhaps is the ratio of number of people in an independent test organization to the number of those in the development group. Most often the ratio what we take, number of people in an independent test organization to number of those who are in the development group. So no, one more parameter. See, one is the ratio. Ratio takes account of two parameters. One parameter taking its one specific parameter such as number of males, number of females. In this way, we are going to find the ratio. The next is proportion. We all know this. All this is also one of the mathematical term. What proportion is? Proportion is different from ratio in that numerator in a proportion is a part of denominator, isn't it? So how P is defined? P is defined such that numerator in a proportion is numerator A, here A is a part of denominator. Proportion also differs from ratio in that ratio is best used for two groups, isn't it? When there are two things, we can have the ratio, whereas proportion is used for multiple categories or populations of one group. In other words, the denominator in the preceding formula can be more than just A plus B if A plus B plus C plus D plus E is equal to N. In simple terms, ratio means two things we are taking in account, whereas when we have got multiple categories, we are going for this proportion. Then we have, see here, A by n, B by n, C by n is equal to 1. When the numerator and denominator are integers and represent counts of certain events, then P is also referred as a relative frequency. What it tells? When the numerator and denominator are integers and represents count of certain events, we are taking account of the certain particular events, then this P proportion is also referred as a relative frequency. So in a simple example, we can take how we are going this to find this proportion of satisfied customer. Proportion of satisfied customer of the total customer set is nothing but, it is the ratio of, it is nothing but number of satisfied customer to the total number of customers of a software product. How we are getting the proportion of satisfied customer to the total customer set? It is given by number of satisfied customers to total number of customers of a software product. This gives us the proportion. So it is also one of the important parameter to in the measurement scale. So one parameter was ratio, another parameter was proportion, and the third is percentage. A proportion or a fraction becomes a percentage when it is expressed in terms of per 100 units. The denominator is normalized to 100. The word percent means per 100. The proportion P is therefore equal to 100P percentage, or we can write it as 100P percentage. So we all know that our marks, everything, they are measured in terms of the percentage, isn't it? So percentage are frequently used to report results. Our VTU results and all other university results, they all take the percentage into account. Percentages are frequently used to report results, and as such as they are frequently, maybe there is a chances that they may be misused. First, because percentages represents relative frequencies, it is important that enough contextual information be given, especially the total number of cases, so that the readers, the end users can interpret the information correctly. Obviously, it is a very easy means to know of the measurement scale, but there are some chances also it may be misused. Why it may be misused? Because if we don't get, because it may be giving just a relative frequency. So it is important that enough contextual information be given, means all the information to be given. Suppose one simple example how we are going to talk when we talk about percentages in software field. Requirement bugs were 15 percentage of the total, means suppose there are 100, then 15 bugs were 25% of the total, coding bugs were 50 percentage of the total, and other bugs made up of 10 percentage of the total, isn't it? So this is how we talk when we use the word percentage, how that term is being used in the software quality. Requirement bugs and design bugs and coding bugs, everything we are taking in terms of percentage. One more thing, a second important rule of thumb is that total number of cases must be sufficiently large enough to use the percentages, isn't it? Suppose I want to get a percentage of my 6 subjects or 8 subjects in one semester, isn't it? So I have to take into account of all 8 subjects. I cannot tell that my percentage is very good just taking in account of only 3 subjects or only practical subject, isn't it? So that is a thumb of rule that total number of cases must be sufficiently large enough to use the percent. The more number of total number of cases are there, the more accurate percentage we get. Percentage is computed from small total are not stable. As I just told you, one cannot tell my percentage is 80 because just in the labs he has got some good marks just divided by 2. Taking the average of 2 lab, he cannot tell. So that result may not be stable. They also convey an impression that large number of cases should be involved. So when we talk about percentages, we have to take in account of all the total cases. Then only we get the correct amount of the percentage. Next important term is a rate. What the rate tell? In the last class we learned about this. Learned about this rate. What actually the rate is? Defect rate. So what is a rate? Ratios, proportion, and percentages are static summary measures. They provide a cross-sectional view of the phenomena of interest at a specific time. The concept of rate is associated with the dynamic change of the phenomena of interest, isn't it? So, just now what we have seen, the ratios, the proportions, and the percentages, all they are somewhat in a static nature. But when we talk about the rate means it is respect to some time, it is respect to a dynamic thing. That's why the concept of rate is associated with the dynamics of the phenomena of interest. Generally it can be defined as a measure of change in one quantity y per unit of the another quantity x on which the former y depends. Usually the x variable is time. It is important that the time unit always be specified when describing the rate associated with time. For instance, in demography, the crude birth rate, one example they have taken, one crude birth rate CBR is defined as B by P into K, where B is the number of live births in a given calendar year, P is the mid-year population, and K is a constant. Usually it is 1,000. See here, this figure should be, obviously it should be a dynamic, isn't it? So because every time it is going to be changed, where CBR is equal to B by P into K. B is number of live births in a given calendar, and P is the mid-year population, and K is some constant. So in this way we are finding the rate. In literature about quality, the risk exposure concept is defined as opportunities for error. OFE. OFE tells that there are opportunities for the errors to occur. The numerator is the number of defects of interest. Therefore, defect rate. In the earlier classes, we saw that there is something like defect rate. How we are going to find out the defect rate? Number of defects upon the ratio of number of effects upon, that is OFE. How many opportunities were there for the error to occur into K. K is some constant. Defect rate is nothing but it is the ratio of number of defects to number of opportunities for error into the multiplied by the constant K. In software, defect rate is usually defined as the number of defects per 1,000 lines of code. We also saw in the last class KLOC. K stand for 1,000 line of code, isn't it? In software, defect rate is usually defined as number of defects per 1,000 lines of code in a given time unit. Example, 1 year after the general availability of the product in the marketplace, or for the entire life of the product. Note that this metric, defect per KLOC, is also a crude measure. So in this way we are finding one important parameter in the measurement, that is a defect rate. How we are getting this defect rate? To get the exact defect rate, we are taking in account of number of defects divided by number of opportunities for the error. We are multiplying with some K factor, that is constant factor. We are getting the defect rate. Next, we will see one more important thing, one more important concept, that is the Six Sigma. So it is not only related with the software field, it has got so many applications in various manufacturing, and so many companies they are using this Six Sigma concept. What is this Six Sigma tell? The term Six Sigma represent a stringent level of quality, means very strictly we are maintaining some quality. It is a specific defect rate, 3.4 defective parts per million. This is some value we will come to know when we see few more slides in the next slides. So it was made known in the industry by Motorola. So this concept was first adopted by this Motorola in the late 1980s, when Motorola won the first Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. This is one standard. So when they got this award, they were the first to use this Six Sigma quality. Six Sigma has become industry standard as an ultimate quality goal. So this has become a standard. Those companies, those who want to achieve the quality, they are using this Six Sigma quality measures. Sigma, when we talk about sigma, sigma is the Greek symbol for the standard deviation. If you know mathematics, you might be knowing the basic term standard deviation. What the standard deviation tells us? The standard deviation is a statistics that measures the dispersion of a data set relative to its mean and is calculated as the square root of the variance. Standard deviation is a measure which shows how much variation in terms of spread, dispersion spread from the mean exists. So what the sigma tells? Sigma is nothing but it is a symbol that is used to tell the standard deviation. What the standard deviation tells? The standard deviation tells how much we are deviated from the true value. There is a true value, there is exact value, how much we are deviated. We may be deviated from the true value in scale, something like in the positive or maybe some negative. We will see this. So a graph is shown. See, a curve is shown, a bell type curve is shown. Let us understand what this graph is telling, isn't it? So there is a scale and it starts from 0, and we have got this various standard deviation. It starts from in this x-axis, positive x-axis, we have this 6, and if you go to the negative, they are all -1, -2, -3, isn't it? So there is a bell type curve. The areas under the curve of normal distribution defined by standard deviation are constant in terms of percentages regardless of the distribution parameters. The area under the curve means the whole area under the curve, isn't it? The area under the curve is defined by plus and minus 1 standard sigma from the mean. See here, this area if we take, isn't it, this area if we take, it is 68.26. The area defined by plus or minus 2 standard deviation is 95.44. See here, this we talk about this area. When we talk about this area, see, it has increased. How it has increased to 95.44. The area defined by plus minus 6 sigma is 99.9999998. Means see this last one, isn't it? So this curve, if you take this, we go on pointing to, we stick up to 2 points, we take it here, isn't it? This plus and minus. So if you take this last curve, isn't it, it is going to be coinciding, yeah, this point and this point. It seems that both are coinciding with this x-axis, isn't it? But we will take in account the whole thing, isn't it? So the area outside this 6 sigma area is thus 100 percentage minus 99.999998 percentage. It comes around 0.1234566 zeros, means 0.000002 percentage. See here, the area defined by the plus minus 6 sigma is 99 point, this 6 times 9 and 8 means 99998 percentage. The area outside the sigma is thus, it is 0.00002, isn't it? So if we take the area within the 6 sigma limit as the percentage of defect free parts, then the area outside the limit as the percentage of defective parts, we find that 6 sigma is equal to 2 defectives per billion parts, or 0.002 defective parts per million. Are you getting my point? See, if we consider these 2 points, means we take account of these 2 points, means whole thing we are taking, isn't it? So what it tells? It tells that how much defect, how much we are deviated. We are deviated to an amount of this 0.6 zeros and 2. What it is? It is nothing but we can denote in such a way, 0.002 defective parts per million. Are you getting? Means we are not we are not telling it as 100%. We are telling it as it is very negligible. See, that's why we are currently very stringent way of measurement, quality measurement is a 6 sigma. So what we are finding here, we are telling here that per million, so parts per million, we are having a defect. That defect is nothing but 0.002. That defect is parts per million defect. Means obviously it is the best case in which we have very least defect. So this is how we are measuring the quality in terms of standard deviation. We tell that the whole thing, it should come under this curve such that the error should be almost zero. This is almost something like zero. So this 6 sigma concept, the 6 sigma value of 0.002, isn't it? 0.002 is from the statistical normal distribution. It assumes that each execution of production process will produce the exact distribution of parts or products centered with regard to the specification limits. It is all within the limits. In reality, when we talk about the reality, however, process shift and drifts always result from variation in the process execution. The maximum process shift as indicated by few researchers is 1.5 sigma, means it shifts from the 0 point, it will shift to 1.50 sigma. The Six Sigma definition accounting, this is something like ideal case, isn't it? We have got three different uh, points in which the curve lies. The first point is centered one, another is shifted right, and another is the shifted left sigma. The Six Sigma definition proposed for 1.5 sigma, it is been shifted to 1.5. This is also shifted. This is shifted to right. This is shifted to left. They have been proposed by the Motorola such that it has become industry standard. So further, the production of distribution shifts from 1.5 sigma, the intersection points of a normal curve and specification limits become 4.5 sigma at one end and 7.5 sigma at the other. It cuts here at this 4.5 and it cuts here in the 7.5. When we talk about this also it cuts in the 7.5, here in the 4.5. These 2 points, they cut the curve. The subtle difference between the centered sigma and shifted sigma may imply something significant. The former is practically equivalent to zero defect. See here, if we see this figure, what it tells that in an ideal case there should be everything should, the defects are zero, but in a real time scenario practically this is not possible, isn't it? So it may be a debatable issue, how come the whole production process and everything should be free from 0.00001 defect also. This is not possible in a real time scenario. While this shifted the sigma while remaining at a very stringent level does contain a sense of reality. See here, this has been shifted to 1.5, this either left or right. So this makes some sense. This is something like reality. Just example we can see, suppose we have got to clean a house, isn't it? This is house we are cleaning. So we are assumed to clean a house of 1500 square feet by a centered sigma method. The area that we allow not to clean though is about the area head of pin. Suppose for this, if we apply this 6 sigma strategy of this centered point sigma, then the house should be clean such that the area, even the area of this point, how much it will be? It will be very less, means 0.0002. That only that is the only thing that is tolerable. Other than that, that is not tolerable, isn't it? So we have to clean a house of 1500 square feet by the centered sigma. The area that we allow not to be clean, the area that we miss not to be clean is just the area of head of a pin, something like tip of the pin, the tip of the pin. That is not possible. By shifting, suppose we are shifting, we shift bar left or we shift bar right, the area is about the size of the bottom of something like bottle, the bottom of the bottle. This we can understand that this area may be left without cleaning. So in this way we conclude that 6 sigma is a stringent method of measurement. The stringent method of measurement, when we talk about the centered curve, it is obviously ideal case, but we go for 1.5 shift of the sigma, whether in the left or whether at the right. These Motorola and big companies, they are using this methodology, this concept, so that at maximum level they want to achieve the accuracy, they want to achieve the quality.